we didn't want to put any of our own, certainly in terms of the thematic material, we didn't want to put any of our own baggage. I mean, we had no interest in putting our messages into this movie, but we thought that we should honor Tolkien by putting his messages into it. And we thought what we should do to honor him is to make sure that what he cared about ends up in the movie. That's what we tried to do.
Amazon Prime's Rings of Power has massacred Tolkien's mythology, ghosted Peter Jackson, and hired activists who are pretending to be actors. And now we have new interviews which prove the cast didn't even bother to research their characters. Just bad mimes mocking Middle-earth and the fans. And these are the best that Amazon could get for $1 billion? Well, I got some bad news for Prime. Just like the 300 Spartans of old, a fellowship will make history by holding the line and slaying this giant with truth. Welcome, Slayer Nation. It is a fantastic day. My best to you and yours, my friends. We've had a ton of news this week. We had the first story break about Peter Jackson being given the giant middle finger by Prime. That's only after Patrick McKay had sung like a eunuch, assuring everyone that Rings wouldn't have any woe. And now we have the cast doing this marathon run of press interviews, doing damage control. But in the process, they actually seem to do more damage.
We had an instant connection. We are both activists off screen. We have a deep-rooted connection to wanting to make the world a better, more equitable place.
Miss Bonyadi, you know you're supposed to be promoting a television series, actually your television series, The Rings of Recycled Fantasy, and not interviewing for a posting at the UN. Ismail, my friend, between us, two men, do you agree with her?
I mean, I echo all of it.
So you do. You believe that activism should be at the heart of a Middle-earth story instead of Tolkien's rich and diverse legendary canon.
And make something that had layers of importance, not only for the fans, the existing fans, but also for new, especially those fans that look like us.
Yeah.
Now I understand. You've become accustomed. You're part of the Hollywood hive. So one quick question. Did you actually do any type of research? Did you do a deep dive into the lore, into any of the ages, just so you could have a better insight, a better understanding of your non-Tolkienian character?
In the research, found these beautiful portraits of Native American chiefs, which I felt for me were the closest to elvenness that we have in a human form.
If that made your skin crawl and put some steel in your spine, smash that subscribe button down below and join the fight to defend Tolkien's beloved legendarium. Payne says, we're the beneficiaries of the experience of having worked in Middle-earth before. We reached out to Peter Jackson, but between the Coof and his schedules and our schedules, didn't manage to actually ever get together for coffee, but certainly would love to at some point. That's what we originally heard back in February 14th of 2022 from Vanity Fair when they were asked Payne and McKay why they didn't work with Peter Jackson. And we're getting a little bit more insight into it in the last few days.
They asked me if I wanted to be involved in it right up. And I said to them, it's an impossible question to answer without seeing a script because they were doing the scripts, wasn't going to be us. And so they said, oh, well, as soon as we get the first couple of scripts, we'll send them to you to look at. And the scripts never showed up. It was the last thing I heard, which is fine.
He was waiting for scripts. Jackson was waiting to hear back from Amazon, and they simply ghosted him. They didn't send him an email, not a wet kiss across the globe. They didn't send a smoke signal or any secret Santa anymore. They didn't even say, look, we're picking up the phone. We're sincerely sorry. We really wanted to work with you, but we just couldn't. J.R.R. Tolkien's estate was against having Jackson on board. This shouldn't be surprising, as the estate had no involvement with his films, and Christopher Tolkien has previously slammed the trilogy in the press as eviscerating his father's books, claiming they turned his novels into action movies for young people that lack beauty and seriousness. I can understand that. Christopher was very strict when it came to the canon. God bless his soul, he's passed now, but his son Simon Tolkien is actually the director running the Tolkien estate. So the real question is, why hasn't Simon brought Jackson on board to help out?
And my problem with the films was really that I think Jackson was kind of too faithful to the book. He kind of put too much into it.
See, Simon doesn't have any problem rubber stamping the Bobbsey twins, their perversion of the legendarium. It doesn't matter. He doesn't mind one single bit because he thinks, if you're too faithful, that's a problem. You can put, Martians in the Ea Narda, and that would be fine. It's starting to really make sense. Maybe it's just he's also a little bit comfy with his cushy consulting gig. Who knows? That's just a guess.
What is your dream girl like? Does she have soft, full lips? Does she have the deepest blue eyes? Does she have long, flowing blonde hair? Am I getting warm? Well, let's turn up the temperature with sizzling live, one-to-one conversation. Call me at 1-900-288-20 for the best dream you've ever had. $4.99 a minute.
Adults only.
But it's people like that. It's people, whether it's Simon or the showrunners, the producers, the activists, and the cast. They are the people who have transformed entertainment into modern brainwashing and reprogramming. Don't you agree, Sophia?
It is everything. It is everything for people of colour. It is everything to progress forward in the film and television industry. As a woman of colour, everyone was cast because they were the absolute best person for the role, and to be part of a redress of balance within this world is an honour.
Thank you, Mrs. Nomvete, for being so honest and so blunt. You actually believe Rings is the series to show diversity for the ages. And because of that, and because of the equality that you want to represent, you are saying that you are going to be the singular most important person in this revolution. It's funny. I congratulate you. You have some courage there, some gall. But isn't that the exact opposite of what your boss, McKay, said last week? Every single choice we've made at every turn of making this show has been to be faithful to that aspiration, because that's what we want as viewers. We don't want to adapt the material in a way that might feel dated. We aspire to being timeless. To being timeless. Well, you can't be timeless if you interject social justice bingo, intersectional, identity politics into a mythological masterpiece. No, everyone would go, that's from 2022. So once again, you got Hollywood. The left face says one thing, the right face says another. Typical. But I'm curious. Miss Nomvete, do any of your cast members have anything else to add?
The physical movements that I do in the show, the physical language, I brought in Capoeira, which is an Afro-Brazilian martial art, and I wanted to have that involved as well in the world of Middle Earth.
Capoeira. So that's where we're taking this. You, Ismail, are going to add the addition of Afro-Brazilian martial arts to enhance your elven character. Okay. The fault is mine. Sophia, let me clarify. Do you have any of your coworkers, any of your cast members who actually have anything to add that pertains to the character or the story?
There are these signposts on the way that Tolkien has written, but he hasn't actually fleshed out these characters to the extent that the other characters are in the Lord of the Rings books.
And now you gave me Lloyd. I guess I deserve that. All right, Lloyd. If I wasn't a gentleman, I would just say straight out, you're either lying or you're ignorant. But between us, gentlemen, I'm going to simply say that you've been hitting the company Kool-Aid a little bit too much. So, Maxim, how about you?
And I think the only two people that were destined to make this happen are JD and Patrick, who have an encyclopedic knowledge of Tolkien and who really wanted to create a whole universe with all different races.
All right, Maxim, that's enough. Y'all out. I can't take the two of you. You're done. You are trying to both persuade us that Payne and McKay have this encyclopedic knowledge of Tolkien's Ea Narda.
What is the crest? Can you tell us what the crest is on her armor?
We would need Kate Hawley here, who has done a wonderfully deep dive with every single filigree, every single crest, every single detail, and the things we've discussed at length, but we need her to speak more.
When JD can't even recall what the crest is on Galadriel's armor that he designed for his show, but he doesn't tell that to Colbert. He says, hey, we got to take a second and ask Kathy.
And I genuinely feel that this is like the perfect point in history to make this show.
Let me tell you something, Lloyd. I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to tell you how to school J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay. The next time you see him, you can say, hello from George the Giant Slayer. Elendil didn't have any schism in his heart. He wasn't conflicted. Elendil the Tall, Elendil the Fair, son of Amandil, had two sons, Anarion and Isildur. He didn't have a daughter. He wasn't a widower. He had a wife who Tolkien didn't name. pure and simple. They escaped before the fall of Numenor. They went to Middle-earth and founded Gondor and Arnor. Simple, straightforward. But instead of listening to me, I think you deserve a better guide.
I need something musical from you, Viggo. I have to have something, the slightest bit of something. Look at me. I'm desperate.
Etiarelo endorena utulien si no me maruvan adildinyar tenambar meta.
Now, wasn't that beautiful? That was Viggo Mortensen singing the Oath of Elendil, the same way that he sang it in Return of the King. But see, the Oath of Elendil was given by Elendil. It was a speech he gave when he landed on the shores of Lindon in 3319 of the Second Age. But what's even more interesting is that he gave it in Quenya. Now, at that time of Numenor, Quenya, it wasn't talked by many people. It wasn't used. It wasn't learned. Only the high and the nobility and the children would learn it. He even knew Sindarin. And you're sitting here telling us, Lloyd, that Tolkien did not flesh out Elendil. He did not flesh out any of these other characters. He only gave you signposts. Who are you kidding? Y'all use these excuses so and you can inject your ideology into it and you can bastardize and pervert it. And you think you're going to be able to get away with it, but that's what we're doing here. See, we're opening people's eyes because you're trying to pull the wool over them. Not going to let it happen because it's people like you who turn around and play victim. You're trying to convince the entire world that you and the rest of the cast are always under the heel of someone's boot. You know how pathetic it is to think of someone cannot connect to a story or a character simply because they don't look like you? Why, I'm going to make damn sure that this series fails so you all do not become the future role models of a new generation. Absolutely not. The other reason I shared Viggo Mortensen singing that oath was because of one particular reason. When he accepted the role from Peter Jackson, he put a wall between his personal beliefs and his acting. He was professional. He had never read Tolkien before. He picked it up on the way to the airport, devoured the entire book on the plane, got there, read everything else he could get his hands on, and fell in love with Middle-earth. He honored the professor's work. He then respected the legendarian, and never once did his personal politics interfere with his role and his representation of the world. Never. Now, the great thing about Amazon is that they are slowly falling into their own trap because they believe that truth can be bought with cheap gimmicks and marketing tactics. It can. Authenticity cannot be fabricated. Love cannot be imitated. You want to feel something authentic, it has to come from a place of honesty, respect, truth, and love. That's it. It can't be done by some corporate committee of story artists who are sitting there worried about the next activist slogan and Kit Kat campaign. No, sir. And the next time someone points the finger at you and says, you're nothing but a gatekeeper, I want you to puff out your chest, put your shoulders back, get your head high, and say, damn straight I am. I'm standing at the gate, holding the line, respecting the lore, honoring the professor's life's work. And the door is open to one and all, every race, every creed, every culture, every political belief. You can believe whatever you want. You want to enjoy and appreciate the legendarium? Go for it. It's wide open. You don't want to? Stand back. Not welcome. And if they don't like that, you get out there, lead by example, and let them hear you roar. We never bow down. We never bend the knee. Firmly defiant. Step up, stand tall, and get busy living your best life now. Always forward.